So there's been some bloody good mid-range smartphones spaffed out lately, including of course the excellent Nothing Phone 3A, while Google's Pixel 9a is just lingering on the horizon there. And into this mid-range melee swaggers the fresh new Galaxy A56, Samsung's latest stab at a smartphone, flexing its metaphorical pecs and yelling stuff like, "Come on then you bunch of jizz swillers, have it!" Sorry, I'm about 5 espressos deep and just feeling really pumped. My brain kinda itches. Now the Galaxy A56 is quite a bit more expensive than last year's A55, and while some of the specs have been boosted, including a fresh chipset and a faster charging battery, the Samsung Galaxy A56 has also been downgraded in one area. So just under a week ago, I thrust my SIM into this sizable smartphone to test out the camera tech, battery life, performance, all that shenanigans. This is my full in-depth Galaxy A56 review, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now, while Samsung hasn't made any massive changes for the Galaxy A56 as far as design goes, a few subtle tweaks here and there. For one, it's now a wee bit slimmer than the previous generation at 7.4mm, while those bezels are also now a wee bit skinnier, so the display has filled out to 6.7 inches. Although there is still obvious room for improvement, especially down below the display where you've got a slight sort of mini Jimmy Hill chin. But yeah, the A56 certainly a big old bugger as usual, got a proper good heft to it as well, and you got those typical iPhone-esque flat edges with a bit of a bump for the volume rocker and the power button there on the right edge. It would certainly be more comfortable to clutch if it was a bit more rounded on the back end, but at least you've got curved corners. So it's not horrific to clutch, it doesn't feel like holding hands with Freddy Krueger or anything, but I can't wait for this particular fad to be over and for a bit more roundiness, curviness to come back into play. But you know, the A56 looks and feels like a premium device. You've got that good old heft, of course, you've got the metallic frame, all the key factors. You've got a bit of Gorilla Glass Victus Plus front and back end on the A56. So far, touch wood, no little scratches or nicks whatsoever on that screen. I do always get a wee bit nervous with Samsung smartphones because they don't slap a pre-installed screen protector on their blowers. But I would still absolutely suggest doing so of your own accord because, yeah, they do tend to pick up wee scratches and scars over time. If you want your blower to keep on looking pristine, it's worth the small investment. And so far, same story for the back end as well. No battle scars just yet. But as you can see, another shiny rear here on the A56, and that does tend to get quite grubby over time, even if the dark finish does mask quite a lot of the filth and scum. I'd certainly like to see Samsung slap a matte finish on its mid-ranges for a change, but as it is, you just have to give it the occasional buffing up, keep it from looking too filthy. Now, besides that glossy arse, the only real difference in design between the Galaxy A56 and most other Sammy blowers is this fresh new linear camera layout. And by the way, that's Samsung's official name for it. I can't take the credit for that one, rather than the usual separate camera islands. Unfortunately, there is a proper dust trench right at the base of this camera sausage, so you will want to give it the occasional brushing out or something if you don't want it to get all gunky. And there's no real change to the jiggle action when the Galaxy A56 is lying flat on its back. You got a choice of 4 colours as usual with the Galaxy A56. Awesome graphite, awesome light grey, awesome pink, and olive of the awesome variety, of course. Now personally, I would have preferred the olive effort, which isn't quite as awesome as Samsung's risk-takingly self-congratulatory naming convention suggests, but it's still got a bit more going on compared with this darker effort. Hopefully we'll get some fresher, bolder colours launched further down the line. Oh, and the Galaxy A56 is also fully IP67 water and dust resistant as usual. And while you don't get an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor unlike the S25 lot, you do have a pretty decent optical fingerprint sensor. As you can see, they're not the fastest around by any means, but it rarely fails. Only if your fingers are particularly grubby, sticky, or whatever. No questions asked. Now, absolutely zero prizes for guessing that on the software side, it's Samsung's own OneUI 7 launcher slathered there on top of a bit of Android 15. And while Samsung isn't quite as dedicated on the software support front with the Galaxy A56 compared with its S-series flagships, it's really not far off at all. You still get 6 full years of OS updates and security patches. So outside of like the Pixel 9a when that emerges, this will be one of the best mid-ranges as far as that support is concerned. And OneUI, bit hit and miss, I've got to say. Certainly I could wibble on as usual about all the bits of OneUI that really irk me, from the needless duplication of apps and services to the increasing amount of crapware found on these things. But honestly, I feel like I've trodden down that particularly well-worn path so many times now that it no longer resembles a path, it's actually a pretty deep trench, littered with the broken remnants of countless empty whiskey bowls. I'm working on an in-depth A56 tips and tricks guide for a closer look at all the software shenanigans, but of course Samsung has stuffed all the obligatory AI stuff on here, including a good bit of circle to search, which usually works pretty ruddy well. Got a good bit of Gemini, of course, as usual, and Samsung is still persevering with Bixby, which continues to have all the wit and intelligence of a bit of M25 roadkill. However, some AI bits are missing here on the A56. So for instance, if you dive into the AI tools in the browser, you'll see there's no web summarization effort in there, which is a shame because that is pretty good, although it was always limited to Samsung's own browser, whereas I prefer Chrome anyway. And you'll also spy, if you drag out the old Edge toolbar, that there's no morning, afternoon or evening brief action on here, which was of course one of the big new AI features that debuted on the S25 lot. Personally, not too bothered to see it not stuffed on here because I found it about as useful as a first aid kit filled with Haribo and porn mags. I mean, you'll bleed out, but I guess at least you'll die happy. But you do have the likes of AI Select, which can come in quite handy if, for instance, you find a picture you quite like, you want to make it your desktop wallpaper. You can do so with just a couple of quick pokes, nice and simple. And quite a lot of the other features I don't think most people would actually bother using ever. Like the transcription, for instance, which is still a bit wank. It makes me sound even more like I've taken a few too many hammer blows to the head. But the rest of the OneUI experience, pretty standard stuff. It's good to see a good bit of eSIM action here on the A56, which is particularly handy if you do a lot of traveling. Just want to slap a temporary local SIM on there. And fantastic news on the storage front, because here in Blighty you got 256 gigs of the stuff as standard here on the A56, which is double what you get in the base S25. And it certainly is increasingly common in the mid-range market for phones to come with 256 gigs minimum, which is great to see, especially when whopping great heifers like Genshin Impact are like 30 gigs by themselves. Although sadly it's not all good news, because for this generation Samsung has scrapped the microSD memory card support. You can only slap a couple of SIMs in there now. It is very sad to see Samsung gradually stripping away these features. First the headphone jack went, now the microSD memory card support, boo, hiss, etc. Not really much to report as far as the display tech's concerned. Here on the Galaxy A56, that screen is slightly enlarged to 6.7 inches. Still a Full HD Plus panel, reasonably crisp visuals. And on the default vivid mode, certainly quite punchy, poppy images as well. Got full HDR10 streaming support in services such as Netflix. The contrast gorgeous as always. It's not quite as bright as some rivals, hits around 1200 nits in high brightness mode, but a slight boost over the previous generation and works fine in quite sunny conditions, which I was actually able to test out this weekend. Was actually sunny outdoors, so I sat out there, watched a bit of footy, streamed some anime, no issues at all, wasn't squinting away. And this thing maxes out at 120Hz refresh, though it doesn't dial all the way down to 1Hz, it's not LTPO tech. And likewise, you don't have the same PWM dimming smarts as some mid-range rivals, so if you are sensitive to OLED flicker, you'll want to look elsewhere. As for that stereo speaker setup, well, it's pretty decent here on the Galaxy A56. So Xiaomi wins the MWC 2025 award for most likely to give tech twats like myself a full-on stroke by launching about 24 new things all at once. It's pretty loud when you peak out that volume. Decent balance between the top and bottom speaker as well. A reasonable bit of bass and all of that. Of course, I still wouldn't use it to listen to music. Absolutely slap some Bluetooth headphones on or whatever for that shenanigans. But the good news is Bluetooth streaming, absolutely zero wars with that whatsoever this past week. And likewise, no complaints with the connectivity. I found that I've had a decent reception, surprisingly good actually, in this general area, because there are quite a few sort of black holes, shall we say, as far as connectivity is concerned. And the brains of the operation here on the Galaxy A56 is Samsung's fresh new 4nm Exynos 1580, backed by 8 gigs of RAM. And I've got to say, the everyday experience here on the Galaxy A56 can be a wee bit sticky at times. You'll see the occasional judder when you're flicking between the different menus, when you're swapping apps, etc. Some of the blame for that has to lie at OneUI's door, as well as the chipset itself. You'll especially see a bit of slowness when you're using the camera app, and if you are shooting 2 or 3 photos in quick succession, you'll often see a notification pop up refining photo for anything up to about 11 or 12 seconds. As for gaming, well, that's also not quite as smooth here on the Galaxy A56 versus some of the competition like Nothing's Phone 3A, at least if you have a go on Wuthering Waves and more intensive demanding fare. On the default medium-ish graphics, the Galaxy A56 still occasionally stumbled and struggled to maintain a consistent frame rate. And if you want a proper bit of eye candy, slip it into the higher visual settings, well, you'll regularly see the A56 huffing and puffing. It's kind of like forcing James Corden to run a double marathon while wearing a concrete raincoat, which coincidentally is something I'm actively seeking to fund on Kickstarter. But in better news, the Galaxy A56 does at least stay cool even if you're gaming for hours at a time, helped along by the slightly larger vapor chamber that Samsung's crammed inside compared with the previous generation. And also, Samsung's gaming mode isn't quite as cack as it used to be. It's now easier to access, and it's got a handful of decent features in there, allowing you to lock the screen, brightness block notifications, etc. In better news, the battery life is pretty bloody good here on the Galaxy A56. You once again got a 5000 mAh capacity cell stuffed inside of that rather sizable frame. And this can actually keep you going for 2 full days between charges if you're fairly chill, not too much camera or gaming action, but about 5 hours of screen on time a day, plenty of messaging, web browsing, and plenty of audio streaming in the background too. And if you're a much more demanding user, your phone is practically glued to your palm, well, no worries, with around 8 to 9 hours of screen on time, including a fair bit of camera play, bit of video chatting, bit of gaming here and there. I've still found that I managed to get through a full intensive day with around sort of 15 to 20% battery life remaining at the end. I tried pretty much everything I could think of, including a bit of mobile hotspotting on this thing in my travels, and seriously, I could not kill it before I was all tucked up with Teddy at night. And while Samsung didn't tinker with the battery capacity, they did at least mercifully boost the recharging on this thing. So you now got 45 watt wide charging, which means you'll get a full charge from drained in roughly 70 minutes. So I still wouldn't call it fast exactly, but at least it's not so tediously slow that it makes you want to ram your face into a fucking waffle maker. So hey, let's finish up this delightful wee Galaxy A56 review by peering into the very soul of that camera tech. And the specs certainly sound very familiar compared with last year's Galaxy A55. You've got a 50 meg primary shooter with optical image stabilization backed by a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle shooter and the obligatory 5 megapixel macro snapper too. Now, Samsung's made a few tweaks and improvements for its camera app in 2025. So for instance, you can quickly access your main toggles and modes down here at the bottom, including boosting to high-res 50 megapixel mode and turning on the old motion photo. And of course, all the usual camera modes, including the obligatory fun mode. It's just so fun, I might have to go blow my own brains out because I can't imagine life getting any better than this. And of course, the usual fan favourites, including single take and a good bit of pro action as well. But this past week, I just stuck with the regular photo mode, like most folk will do, and I found my test shots with the A56 came out pretty well on the whole. Those pics are packed with fine detail on the default 12 meg mode, as long as you got enough light, while this mid-ranger can also cope pretty well with HDR type situations. You will get the usual Samsung brightening and colour boost shenanigans, but not too many of my photos were obviously oversaturated, and most people seem to like the effect regardless. It was only really the occasional focus fail that let the A56 down, but this did happen more than expected. Samsung says that it's worked on improving portrait shots with enhanced skin tones, sky, grass, etc., although I struggled to see the difference between this and earlier models. And as usual, any motion is likely to give you a blurry pic, so you'll have to time your shots well, although the edge detection is generally decent. And somewhat counterintuitively, I actually saw a lot less noise in low light and high contrast situations with the A56 versus the S25 lot. My night snaps looked impressively bright and not really very grainy. As for the macro shooter, well, as always, that's just a bit cack really. And the ultra-wide shooter ain't brilliant either, certainly stumbles when the lighting conditions are less than perfect. As for shooting video, well, you can capture 4K footage at 30 frames per second, no 60 FPS option there. You'll have to drop the resolution to Full HD if you want to boost it to 60 FPS. And I found the Galaxy A56 attempts at video capture weren't too bad at all. Again, you'll see some saturation when the sun is shining, and the focus occasionally took a wee bit longer than expected to lock onto a subject. But the stabilization's pretty decent, video quality's reasonably sharp at 4K, and I had no problems with the audio either, although I didn't get the chance to test the A56 in gusty conditions because the weather here has been surprisingly unsucky. And then finally, for the camera tech, around front you've got yourself your basic bog standard 12 megapixel selfie shooter with the ability to pull back a bit for those group shots. And the Samsung Galaxy A56 can show up to 4K resolution footage at 30 frames per second or 60 FPS option using that front-facing camera. So not quite as good as some rivals, but absolutely fine for your video chats. As you can hear, mic picking up absolutely fine. The stability is good, and the overall visuals are absolutely fine. And of course, you've got the usual obligatory AI photo editing tools slapped on here as well, although this has been a wee bit bulky for me here on the A56. So for instance, as you can see there, if I try and get the object eraser on the go, basically just says, "No mate, not today." As I say, that's most likely just down to this being an early model. It's not quite on release just yet, so hopefully that'll all be sorted by the time it hits shelves. And that right there, my lovelies, in a tasty wee nutshell, is my full, frank, final Samsung Galaxy A56 review. You know, no real shocks or surprises. It's a perfectly dependable mid-range mobile. Performance not quite as good as some rivals, but the battery life's been excellent, camera tech's been pretty decent. And of course, how well you get on with OneUI will depend on your history with Samsung, whether you bother to use its own apps and services. Personally, I've got to say I'd rather go Nothing Phone 3A, which is considerably cheaper than this bad boy as well. It's got a bit more personality, a bit more going on, and the performance overall was a bit better as well. And of course, plenty more capable mid-rangers like the Pixel 9a lingering just on the horizon. That's what I reckon anyway. It'd be great to hear your thoughts on the Galaxy A56 down in the commenty bit down below. Please do poke, subscribe, and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. And have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Cheers!